Hello, everyone, and welcome to California State University Channel Islands and to the program of Political Science. My name is Dana Lee Baker, and it is my pleasure and honor to be introducing our program to you in this orientation program. Before I get started with that material, I want to encourage you to jot down two pieces of information here, my text and my email. And this is because we are always, as faculty at CSUCI, eager to have students seek to have questions answered. And I am no exception to that general rule. I look forward to your questions, even to your objections, and to your delights. I want to know what you need to know to do as well as you can in our program. My text is 360-989-8134. That's 360-989-8134. Of course, this also works for voice calls, though.
So as I said, welcome aboard. We are thrilled that you are here. One of the aspects that is delightful of being in a program of political science is you are virtually guaranteed that everyone around you is dedicated to making the world a better place. We are so thankful that you are here to help participate in this work of improving civil discourse, enhancing civic engagement, improving governance across all of the wide governments that exist in our nation and around the world. And so, welcome aboard. We are thrilled that you're here. Before getting into the curriculum of our program, I want to take some time to focus on our program's mission. Our program revised its mission last December, so it is relatively new in terms of the exact verbiage, but the center, the heart, has not changed. Our mission reads, it is centered on the principle of constitutional democracy, inclusion, participation, and global citizenship. The program of political science cultivates students and teachers, scholar, faculty in integrative, research-based understandings of political systems and public sectors. We focus on the long-term student success as demonstrated by lifelong civic engagement and achievement in a broad spectrum of careers in express service of the mission pillars of CSUCI. Some key elements to highlight are our focus on democracy, participation, and inclusion at the national, state, local, and global levels, and our really committed focus on research-based understandings that are deeply rooted in appreciation of the theory of political science and its related fields. We want you to know, to understand, and to create new knowledge relating to political science. We also expect you to be engaged in this work for the rest of your life, regardless of your profession. We expect that our graduates will participate in civil discourse, civic engagement, and in the improvement of societies, regardless of whether they go to work in the private, public, or third sectors. Turning now to the coursework that you'll undertake as a political science major at CI, I want to first start with emphasizing the best place to look when you're looking for the specifics with regard to your program of study. And that is, without question, the university catalog, which is the document that mandates what has to be taken to get a degree in political science or any other degree in the year of your entry. So I've included that link here. There are human beings who are delighted to help interpret this, advisors, peer mentors of many kinds, your faculty, staff. But if you want to be an informed individual, it's also key that you know where to get this information yourself, and that is from the catalog. In the lower division, you want to complete your 100 series, and these are exciting courses. They look at comparing how governments have addressed or not addressed common challenges. We look at how governments internationally have attempted or failed to work together. And we look at both the history and the contemporary decisions that have been made to frame our political institutions in the United States. These are all fascinating courses, and they are often places where people get really excited about their major, and they're commonly offered each semester. But I do encourage you to take them early on because they are meant to lay a foundation for your future coursework. Speaking of laying a foundation, you also want to take the math as soon as you can. Now, math phobia is a very real thing, as is innumeracy. Numeracy is a form of oppression in our society, and it is one that I am dedicated, and our faculty in general is dedicated to overturning. So we want to make sure that regardless of how you would currently define yourself in terms of a relationship with math and statistics, that you become someone who feels numerate or who feels entitled to numeracy and who participates in the power dynamics that are associated with the construction, interpretation, and manipulation of statistics. So start with one of these elementary statistics courses, and then you'll see me in the statistical applications course. Again, be sure that you know where to find the catalog because it is a very, very easy place to answer questions about courses that are required and all of the elements that go into getting not just your major, but your degree. For your upper division courses, there are 4 primary categories. The first of these is essentially their toolkit for the profession or for the academic discipline or for graduate school after that. You want to make sure that you understand research methods, and political science research methods teaches students how to frame questions about political science, how questions are and have been addressed in the context of social sciences more broadly, but more specifically in political science, and what tools are used to attempt to find answers to those inquiries. The politics of race and ethnicity is key to understanding some of the systemic elements that have gone into the misshaping of our governments in our society and in societies outside of the United States. Really important to understand these dynamics if you're to engage the public sector going forward. Statistical applications of political science, as I mentioned on the previous slide, is the focused opportunity to learn about how statistics is used in the public sector. So in political science and in public affairs and public policy. We go into a lot of statistical theory and how that connects to democratic theory. We don't really actually learn too many new techniques. We're thinking about the how, why, and when of these techniques as opposed to learning new technical skills. However, there are 2 key technical skills that do come out of this course. One is using a statistical application package, and the other is usually SPSS, and the other is communicating orally about statistics because the idea in play is quite frequently that you will be in service of explaining statistics to members of the general public and to avoid expanding innumeracy and the violence of numerate oppression. You want to be able to do that in a skilled way. And so one of the elements of this course is quite frequently an oral final exam, which I promise you students actually do much, much better on than they ever expect. Finally, you have your capstone project, which is your opportunity to contribute to new knowledge in political science. It varies a little bit depending on the professor who's teaching it, whether or not there's a theme, whether or not there's a focus on data collection or coding or literature review, but it's your opportunity to essentially do a senior thesis, and it's perhaps terrifying at the outset, but it is one of the more fulfilling experiences in undergraduates who are in our program. Then you want to complete a theory course, and one of the cautions that I give with the theory courses is that if there's one in particular you really want to take, if for example you know that you're especially interested in modern political theory, it's important to take that when you see it. One of the benefits of being in our program is that our roadmap and our program of study actually has some inherent flexibilities, which we're very proud of because it leads to higher graduation rates, particularly among some of the more potentially vulnerable categories. But the other cost there is that it is true that unlike at a larger school where all the courses might be offered every semester, that is almost never the case in a smaller university like CI. So if you don't really care which political theory course you take. Just take the one that's available the semester that's convenient to you. If you have a strong feeling, take it when you see it. The next part of upper division coursework is one where it violates my general rule that students who are a few steps ahead of you are fantastic sources of guidance and information and mentoring, because in this particular case, this is a brand new requirement, and so those who are a year or two or three ahead of you might not be as aware that this is part of your curriculum. So just know that, though I think many students are aware of this new change anyway. This is an opportunity to learn the writing skills that are core to the professions that many people engage, and to use critical thinking in the development of these written products. We have a global option and a more domestic option. In both cases, like I said, you're learning essentially writing that is the writing of the field. So in Political Science 320, for example, we write job descriptions, we write budget narratives, and this is actually quite exciting and of course quite valuable in terms of future employment. And then finally, there's the electives, and these vary. These vary a lot. I encourage you to choose electives that you find interesting, that speak to your passions. These are the list of electives, not that I necessarily recommend. They are above any other set of electives. They just happen to be the ones that we are offering this semester. One sort of caveat that I give with regard to electives is to really try not to judge a book by its cover. For example, public budgeting might not seem all that exciting to everyone at its outset, but public budgeting is how we manage resources. It is how governments decide to focus on particular issues, and budget justice is incredibly important to social and political stability and progress. And so you want to make sure that you understand how budgets happen, where they come from, how to intervene in their development, etc. So public budgeting is the place to learn that, and especially to learn that a lot of the information that many members of the general public just assume isn't available actually is, and it is your right to know it. Gender and politics, fascinating course, looks at gender and politics, and especially given the new Supreme Court decision, this is an evolving and dynamic part of our field. Judicial power and processes, also really important and popular course, especially with those who might want to be attorneys after finishing their degree at CI. But for everyone, understanding how the coursework is key. Finally, I just want to add some pieces of advice for doing well in college in general. Now, I understand you've probably heard a lot of perspectives on this at this point, so I'm adding mine, and this comes about as a result of my sort of meandering experience in higher education over the last couple of decades. First, get to know your colleagues, faculty, and staff. For one thing, these are, with very rare exceptions, fantastic people who are dedicated to making the world a better place. So these are people that it's well worth having in your social network and engaging with. But also because, especially with your colleagues, your peers in your courses, if you go on to work locally, it is almost a 100% chance that you're going to run into members of your classes in your professional work. And so if you have a relationship already, or you have experiences that you understand how each of you communicate and work, it can be really valuable for decades. It can also lead to great things in the short term. I know, for example, there's a group of students and recent graduates who are currently setting up a nonprofit organization, and that kind of amazing work is just inspiring. Your faculty are a pretty interesting group. We have different personalities, different focuses of our research, and different teaching styles. But one thing that's true about everybody who's a political science faculty member is that they are really interested in students and in student success. And so getting to know us is both, I hope, interesting and also a very good idea. If for no other reason, when you're asking for letters of recommendation for a job or for graduate school, having your faculty know you is important. Now, I don't want this to be overinterpreted to mean that your faculty are lonely and bored. We are not. Your faculty and staff are busy, wonderful people, but busy, wonderful people who want all the best for you. The staff at CI, from my perspective as somebody who has worked at 4 different universities, is unparalleled. These are compassionate professionals who are very, very well informed about everything that goes on at CI, and often graduates of CI. And so it is a very good idea to get to know them. Become familiar with campus resources. And this is important for 2 reasons. First, there are many campus resources that are available for moments in which you might be in an emergency. The food pantry, the uh, psychological services, or when you just might be in a lower level of need. There's a massage chair once the campus opens. It's really a good idea to understand these services and resources before you need them. Even the library as a resource and service. Better to understand what and how the library works before your term paper is due in 12 hours than when your term paper is due in 12 hours. Another very important component of being familiar with campus resources is it's a great way to be of service, and students in political science are almost always interested in being of service, because chances are at one point in your college career you will encounter a peer in crisis, and knowing what the resources are creates an opportunity for you to help that peer and to be of service in their moment of need, which is important and remarkable. Become involved on campus. Now, for us, it's going to be virtual for the fall semester for the most part, but being involved in the arts, in the literature, in the campus read, in the student clubs, makes for an inspiring and transcendent experience. One of the sayings of our outgoing chair is that your degree gets you your job, and your education helps you keep it and get promoted. And I agree with that statement from Dr. Kelly wholeheartedly. Being involved in campus is one way to really enhance your education. Your degree planner helps you get your degree. How you engage your courses and the opportunities around you creates your education, and it's your education that you will need for building success beyond your first job. Engage in undergraduate research. This is really interesting and really, really important. Research is essentially the opportunity to ask questions that have never been asked before and create knowledge that is new. Creating new knowledge is amazing. It's amazing to have created a piece of information that no one on the planet knows but you. And now everybody else will have the opportunity to know it because of you. It's an inspiring and humbling experience. Another reason to become involved in undergraduate research is because it can lead to publications and presentations wherein your author name will become something that is essentially searchable. Where, for example, if you're in one of my forthcoming books, either as an author, a chapter or a story, or acknowledging the acknowledgments, then that's something that comes up when people search it, and that is an amazing way in which to both build your skills and build your professional reputation. One undergraduate research opportunity I want to highlight is called the Summer Undergraduate Research Fellows. Look and watch for this application. This is a paid summer opportunity to become involved in a research project directed by faculty members across the campus, and it is one that I have not seen paralleled at the other universities that I worked for. It is fantastic, and working this closely with a faculty member on a passion project is an unforgettable experience. Undertake community engagement. We have a fantastic Center for Community Engagement directed by Pilar Pacheco, which has everything from day long or hours long volunteer opportunities to community engagement courses. And becoming involved in community engagement is usually pretty low-hanging fruit for political science students, but being of service, especially in your undergraduate career, can really help hone your focus in terms of what you want to go into after you finish your undergraduate career, and make your understanding of the governance and of social problems and social wealth deeper. I hope that you will undertake community engagement at some point during your career. Finally, and this will absolutely not be the last time that you will hear me nag you about this, you want to start and maintain your CV and resume. one element of the hidden curriculum, so part of college that is not necessarily highlighted but should be, is that when you submit a resume to a job, especially a job that requires a college degree, you want to make sure that you tailor that resume to the particular job. Sometimes for the simple reason that there's thousands of applications that are not first reviewed by a human being. Other times because there are dozens of applications that are being reviewed by a human being, but they're looking first to weed out. So what you want to do is you make sure that you maintain both your resume and adapt that for the particular job description that you're applying for, and your curriculum vitae or your CV. And this is a large document that you generally speaking wouldn't send to any employer, but which contains the specifics of different types of knowledge, skills, and abilities that you have built during your college career. And the reason why I encourage you to maintain it in a really disciplined way is that it's so easy to forget contributions that you've made or to forget the details of skills that you've developed. For example, when you take research methods or statistical applications for political science, often you'll be required to take human subjects training because when you do research with humans, it's important to understand how to protect those humans' rights and other risks that might come about as a result of that research. When you take that training, make sure that you write down the title of the training, your certificate number, and your completion date, and put that on your CV. Because when you send out a resume with that information, it gets so much more impressive than when you send out a resume where you're asked, oh, yeah, I think I took a course on human subjects at some point. Having details matters and communicates a strength. Finally, I, in a live presentation, would be asking for questions, but in this recorded presentation, I'm simply saying, again, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask questions using the communications that I mentioned on the first slide. So my text of 360-989-8134 or email dana.baker@csuci.edu. And don't hesitate to ask questions of the other faculty and staff. The one sort of exception to that general rule is you want to make sure that you ask questions that are not easily answerable by you, right? So if it's something like, what's the title of the course that I took, when that's something you can find in the university catalog, make sure that you have done due diligence in terms of just a quick search, because that communicates a level of professionalism. But that being said, we do not want anybody wandering around not knowing information that is vital to their progress at CI and beyond. So go ahead, ask questions. We are happy to answer them. I had the dog on here mainly because when I do give live presentations, including in class, I often have canine interventions in my progress. I have a lot of dogs, but I obviously can control that in a recorded format. Finally, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I am so thrilled that you have chosen to study political science at CSUCI, and I very much look forward to working with you, as do all of the members of the faculties of political science and global studies. Thanks for your time and attention, and I can't wait to get started. Bye-bye.